Chopper 11 over the big story tonight, a highway landing. This small plane came down right on a busy Washington County road. It's a story that we brought you on 11 when we broke into programming to show you these amazing pictures. David?
Yeah, Dareth, we showed you the video from the air. This is the view now, right out from the ground. The pilot able to land along the side of the highway, as you see right there. It happened in Washington County on the Mon-Fayette Expressway as we zoom in to show you exactly where that took place. Channel 11's Kara Sapida talked to that pilot, and she has the latest for us now tonight. Kara.
David, can you imagine this adrenaline? This pilot told me he was dodging trees and power lines and overpasses. Drivers told us the plane was flying so low they were convinced it was going to crash, but no, the pilot made a perfect emergency landing right in the middle of the highway. Broken down on the side of this highway, a small plane.
At about 3,000 feet, the engine clunked and the plane started to vibrate really, really bad. We said, okay, something happened, and I checked to see if the gauges were all right, and I lost a lot of power, so I knew I wasn't staying aloft anymore. Pilot
Brian Nicholson was flying his 1946 Stinson airplane from Rostraver Airport to Waynesburg. He showed us where mid-flight a chunk of the propeller broke off.
It caused the propeller to be unbalanced, which made the engine shake violently.
Brian and his passenger, also a pilot, radioed that they were going down, and there were some obstacles in the way.
They did an amazing job. We were dodging signs and wires and oncoming traffic and tanker trucks and bridge overpasses.
Imagine dodging the power lines and the trees and even the traffic only to land safely. But I want to show you what a close call this was. The plane landed right here, and look how close they came to this overpass.
I had to keep it aloft a little bit longer than I wanted to because the semi-truck was underneath me.
Brian finally saw his chance and used this stretch of US 43 like a runway. He said drivers who watched it happen didn't stop to help, they stopped to congratulate him.
Oh my God, I want to shake your hand. That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Nicholson has had his pilot's license for 6 years. He's owned that plane for 1 year. He told me he looks forward to getting it back in the air as soon as possible. And David, it was just nice reporting on this emergency landing with no injuries.
Yeah, no question, Karen, but what's the status of the plane right now?
Actually, we waited all day to find out. He really wanted to put a new propeller on it and fly it out of there, but the FAA about an hour ago decided they weren't going to allow that, so they just towed it away. It cost him $500.
I checked to see if the gauges were all right, and I lost a lot of power, so I knew I wasn't staying aloft anymore. So I had to pull back the throttle, and we looked for a place to land, and this is where we ended up.
What was going through your head? Were you afraid?
Yeah, I mean, you practice for emergency landings with the hopes that you never ever actually have to have one. And when it happened, it was extremely scary. It was an experience I really don't want to have again, or hope that many other pilots don't get to have. So luckily it turned out all right. Nobody was, there was no cars, no other accidents. The plane's safe, we're safe, everything just happened to be great.
Were you looking like, am I going to land on a car?
Yeah, I had to keep it aloft a little bit longer than I wanted to because the semi-truck was underneath me. And then a car passed the semi and was underneath me as well. So I had to fly on the opposite side of the road to miss them and then come back over and land between a bunch of different cars.
Imagine what the guy in the semi-truck was thinking.
Actually, the people stopped that were doing that and they were like, oh my God, I want to shake your hand. That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So it was kind of funny, and I wish it didn't happen, but here I am, so.
That had to make you feel good?
I don't know if good's the word to say, but it made me happy that we're alive, and I'm thankful that we're alive, so that's the best thing.
One last question. What were you saying in those moments to your friend?
I looked at him, and he said, we're in trouble, and I said, yeah, I need to find a place, and the first thing I had to do is I got on and I notified the emergency system for the airplane, and I called them and said, listen, I'm going down, my engine's down, and I need to put it down on a highway. And I told him, I said, just hold on, we're going to try to do this, and here we are.
Who was that lady you were talking to?
That's my mother.
So, how did she know?
My dad. I called my dad because that's the first person I wanted to call. He's, with me in the airplane, and he apparently called her, and she came over crying and upset, so.
How many years have you been a pilot?
6 years.
6 years. What were you going to say, Terry?
This is your dad that was with you?
No, it's just a friend of mine, another pilot.
Okay. Tell me about about the plane?
Can you take us over here and show us what happened?
Sure, if you want to look.
She's got to call me back.
All right. This chunk of the shroud come off, or of the propeller, and it caused the propeller to be unbalanced, which made the engine shake violently, and it made control a little bit more difficult. So there was nothing I was going to try to limp it to an airport, but it didn't have the power to keep me up, so this is what I had to do.
How old is this plane?
It's a 1946. It's a 1946 Stinson.
What do you think caused that?
I have no idea. I did the pre-flight, and we were actually just talking about that. I said the wooden prop makes it run really, really smooth, and he said, yeah, you should keep it for a while. And he literally said that 15 minutes before it did this.
Is this your plane?
This is my plane, yeah.
Can I ask when you bought it, why you bought it?
I bought it a year ago. I bought it just because I love the tail dragger aspect, and I wanted to buy a plane that had a tail wheel. I've been flying it for a year, and it's a great plane. It's lovely, and it got me to the ground safe, so I think I'll keep it.
You're going to fix it?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to fix it.
Okay.
This bridge was coming up. Check the front.
Dealing with the FAA.
Yeah, like. Live.